Hey, what's going on, guys? Mike Floyd here with the Turf Toe Show, bringing you a recap of Week 2 of the Lions of American Football. I've already done the Saturday games in a separate video. I went ahead and recorded those like right after the games. So for the Arizona Hotshots playing the Memphis Express and Salt Lake Stallions playing the Birmingham Iron. If you want to see those videos, I'll link to it like somewhere around here or in the description below. I'll figure it out. In this video, I'm going to cover real quick the San Antonio Commanders playing the Orlando Apollos in San Antonio. I went to that game, as you can tell by the little logo. Yeah, right there on my chest. And also the game that was out west in San Diego, the Atlanta Legends playing the San Diego Fleet. So to start off, I want to talk about the Orlando Apollos playing the San Antonio Commanders. The Orlando Apollos ended up taking this game 37-29. I said in my first video from week 1 that I thought this was going to be like the game of the week, and it would be a high-powered offense versus a high-powered defense, and whoever's quarterback just played better was going to win this game. Well, that's essentially what happened. So the first quarter, San Antonio, I think on the first drive, actually scored on the first 2 drives. They just couldn't convert on the 2-point conversions. They went up 12-0. Then Orlando started coming. They stormed right back, scored 17 points in the second quarter. San Antonio scored 6. The third quarter, Orlando started running away with it. I mean, San Antonio came back with like 11 points in the third, kept Orlando to 3. But then Orlando scored 17 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. The main thing that I noticed was that C. Spurrier made an adjustment really quick. I think everybody in the stands also noticed it, that the cornerbacks for the San Antonio Commanders, the area 51, I think they were calling themselves for the secondary, was not able to keep up with the outside receivers for the Orlando Apollos. Guys like Charles Johnson and Jalen Marshall were just having a field day on the outside. They were doing simple stop and go routes, simple post routes, and they were just dusting these receivers. So every time you looked up, the Apollos were handing off the ball, the front line for the Commanders were stopping it. They were able to keep the running game from really getting anywhere, but as soon as Garrett Gilbert like unleashed to the outside, it was a wrap. Every time you look down, they were just streaking down the field, and you had the guy just behind him, just trailing. Charles Johnson had 7 receptions, 10 targets, 192 yards and a TD. Jalen Marshall had 3 receptions, 4 targets, 84 yards and 1 TD. It just seems like, and then Chris Thompson, he also had 70 yards, receiving yards. So Garrett Gilbert was just spreading the ball around the field. The Commanders were able to kind of control everything in the inside, just keep it from, but anything on the outside for the wings and go just streaking up the field, they were just getting dusted. So that is one big thing that the Commanders have to work on these next couple of games, because I think they're going to play the San Diego Fleet next week. So Mike Martz, being an offensive guy, he's going to see that and notice, hey, we can go over the top. If our guys are faster than their guys, we got them beat. Going back to Garrett Gilbert, he went 19-28, 393 yards, 2 TDs, and 1 2-point conversion. It's pretty good game for him. Really good game for him. Still show that offensive prowess that they had last week against the Atlanta Legends. They just didn't monkey stomp all over them like they did. They didn't monkey stomp over the San Antonio Commanders like they did the Atlanta Legends. Logan Woodside went 20-39, 223 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. That 1 interception was real costly. I want to say that was in the beginning of the 4th. It was around that time. Well, it was a pick 6 and it was ran all the way back, so it just deflated the defense completely. Kenneth Farrell, it looked like when he scored that first rushing TD, it looked like he hurt his neck. He leaped over the line and like landed like right on the side of his neck and everything, and it looked pretty bad. He was down for a little while. He had 13 carries, 74 yards and 1 TD, but he came back in eventually and then kept playing. So I know that man's sore right now. Like I said, the defense was doing pretty good for the Commanders. I mean, they did get exposed on the outside, but I do think since it's being so early in the season, they can get that fixed. It seemed like number 41, Bosby, was just, he was able to control everything that was bouncing back into the inside, but as soon as they turned it on the outside on and ran up the field, he was outplayed. Same thing with 33, 23, and 25 for the Commanders. All the outside quarterbacks. It looked like Mike Riley was trying to switch them in and out to, get different looks, but it got to a point where 23 and 25, they were just getting dusted on the left-hand side. It got bad. So overall, I thought that was my game of the week. I knew it was going to be a good game. The crowd in San Antonio was just rocking. I think they said it was close to 30,000 people in the stadium. So that's a good look for the AAF. I mean, I made a little video on Facebook real quick right after the game that there's a lot of people talking trash about this league and like how they don't have anybody watching. It's like, well, San Antonio's watching and we're there supporting it. I don't want to get into in this video, but I'll probably do another video. But I think the main reason why a lot of these teams are not having like the big attendance numbers, like the Memphis Express and stuff like that, is the fact that they actually switched around a couple of game schedules. So I know for a fact when I bought my original tickets to go to this game for this week, that game was scheduled for a Saturday. And it got switched to a Sunday because of the national TV schedule. So that might be a reason why a lot of people weren't there. They just switched the schedule up on it at the last second. which is like, it's not a real good look. The second game of the night was out in San Diego. It was Atlanta Legends playing the San Diego Fleet. Atlanta Legends ended up losing 12-24. So they dropped to 0-2 right now. The Atlanta Legends actually jumped out ahead in the first quarter. They actually scored 9 points. It kept the Fleet scoreless. Well, going into the second, the Fleet kind of came back before the half. I want to say the Legends were marching down the field, and then Mike Martz managed to call a timeout, which slowed down the drive that they had, and then it managed to kick 2 back-to-back field goals to put them on the board. They came back out in the third quarter, and it just marched straight down the field. The quarter scored another 3, and then they didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter. I want to say in the fourth quarter they scored back. They will say 2 drives back-to-back. It was 2 rushing touchdowns, and I noticed that MJD, Maurice Jones-Drew, and then Marvin Lewis, the former coach for the Cincinnati Bengals, kept stating that, hey, it's a possibility that the offense that Mike Martz is trying to run for the San Diego Fleet is too complex for Phil Nelson. I mean, he just got the starting job this week. Well, after he got put in after Mike Berkovici got, injured, or he got benched in that first game. So he's kind of like having to learn that playbook on the fly. Also, it was raining like crazy out there. They kept harping on that. Well, once they dumbed down the offense and just started running the ball, just pounding it down the middle, and just started rotating those running backs they had Jaquan Gardner and Terrell Watson just going back and forth. Jaquan Gardner had 15 carries, 104 yards, 2 TDs. He scored back-to-back TDs. Terrell Watson had 14 carries, 49 yards, with as long as 10. So once they took the ball and then allowed Nelson to get calm, then they started collapsing the defense, and they were able to get some stuff on the outsides. On the Legends side, after they scored their first 9 points, I mean, they got a touchdown. They were good. They finally got a touchdown. Each team didn't have a touchdown yet until this game. They scored their first 9 points in the first quarter and didn't score again until the fourth, when they finally got a field goal. It's not a good look on the Legends right now. Like I said in a couple other videos, that there's a lot of turmoil going on with that team just due to the coaching changes, due to the players that they brought in. It just seems like they weren't actually prepared. They didn't play bad in this game. It just seems like once the third quarter came and the San Diego Fleet made some adjustments, they were just completely outplayed. Matt Sims, he went 17-25, 160 yards, 1 TD and 1 interception. There was a couple plays where it just seemed like he just wasn't in sync with the play calls that were coming from the sidelines, with the O-line. He just wasn't in sync. He was just trying to rush everything. Lawrence Pittman had 9 carries, 42 yards. The longest was 12. The only person who scored touchdowns was Malachi Jones. It was a passing touchdown. But that was it, man. I mean, the defense was decent. They recovered a couple fumbles, covered 1 fumble. Young Hoku had a perfect day of kicking, 2 of 2. And same thing on San Diego Fleet side. Donnie Hagman, he had 4-4-46. So he scored 12 points himself. But it's just coming down to his quarterback play. Phil Nelson didn't have a good day at all. He went 14 of 30, 142 yards and 1 interception. I want to say he was the one that threw a pass, like he was running toward the sideline, got turned around, was facing the other end zone, the opposing end zone, and then flipped the ball behind him. Luckily, Gavin Escobar was there and caught that ball, because that could have been a bad interception. It could have been taken to the house. So everybody in the stadium, like, I was driving on the way back from the Commanders game, was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, that's like you can't do stupid stuff like that. You got to be smarter than that, my guy. You're lucky that Gavin Escobar was there to even catch that ball. Like, don't do stupid stuff like this. It's looking like for San Diego, they're going to have to really rely on that running game until they can figure out their quarterback situation. Atlanta, I knew they were going to lose this game. No, I kind of thought it was going to be kind of competitive. I mean, they were competitive. They just couldn't, once the offense fizzled out in the first quarter, they couldn't do anything with it. They're going to have to figure out, I'm not even going to say they're a quarterback situation, because I think they have a quarterback in Matt Sims. I want to say it's the head coach. It's his first time being a head coach in any level, like college, high school, professional, whatever. So I think he's still learning the playbook. He's still learning how to coach guys on this level. So I think it's going to take a couple more games. They're going to eventually get a win. I do think they are better than what they're showing. It's just stupid little mistakes like offsides and just delay of games, just dumb little mistakes that the Atlanta Legends are having that I think they can eventually clean up and actually get some wins. So right now, as it stands for the Western Conference, you got the Arizona Hotshots sitting at 2-0, San Antonio Commanders at 1-1, San Diego Fleet at 1-1, and Salt Lake Stallions at 0-2. In the Eastern Conference, you got the Orlando Apollo sitting at 2-0, Birmingham Iron at 2-0, Memphis Express at 0-2, and Atlanta Legends at 0-2. So you got 3 undefeated teams, 3 teams that haven't won a game. The Salt Lake Stallions, in my opinion, are better than what they're showing. They've just come up against teams that are like just better than them. They lost to the 2 undefeated teams, the Arizona Hotshots and the Birmingham Iron. I also think that the Memphis Express actually improved upon last week's game, and they actually started getting better. I still think that Christian Hackenberg is not the answer. They still need to get rid of him or do something or they got to figure out something. Christian Hackenberg is not the answer for them. And same thing with Atlanta Legends. I think it's just little miscues that they got to figure out. They should have won this game against the San Diego Fleet, but they kind of beat themselves. San Antonio played a great game against, the Orlando Apollos. One of those teams was going to have to lose. It's just that the offense for the Apollos was just stronger than what the defensive secondary was able to hang up to. Birmingham Iron looks great. I mean, that defense is legit. And then Arizona Hotshots, I mean, the Express put up a fight up against them, but after that second half, they got the rolling and that offense started clicking. So my predictions for next week, you got the Arizona Hotshots playing the Salt Lake Stallions. I'm going to take the Arizona Hotshots. I think the Hotshots will take this. Well, actually, I don't know. They're playing in Salt Lake City, so it's a home game for Salt Lake. Arizona started coming, they're slow to start. So if Salt Lake can just get the quarterback, just jump out to a fast lead on them, I think they will do a lot better. They're better than what they should have won, possibly should have won against the Birmingham Iron, but that defense clapped down on them. The Arizona Hotshots defense is decent, but it's not great. So Salt Lake can beat the Hotshots. They can beat them, but I do think the Hotshots will take this game. You got Memphis at Orlando. I don't see if Orlando's going to win this game. Orlando should win this game. If Memphis cannot figure out its quarterback problem, there is no way they're going to beat the Orlandos right now. I know their defense is good, but it's not as good as the Commanders' defense was. Unless they sit there and watch that film and just like, we're not going to let them beat us on the outside, we're going to force them to run that ball, then I think they have a shot. But if they can't get any production on the offensive side of the ball, it's a wrap. Birmingham Iron at Atlanta, I feel like Birmingham's going to run all over Atlanta. It's going to be a wrap for those guys. It's going to be, I don't think Atlanta's going to be able to fix their problems fast enough for that team. So I think both Arizona and Birmingham and Orlando still going to be undefeated going into week 4. San Diego's playing San Antonio in San Diego. It's going to be a rematch of week 1. The only difference is it's going to be Philip Nelson instead of Mike Bercovici. And I think that if the Commanders are smart, they're going to watch that film and be like, we're not going to let anybody beat us on the outside, even though Mike Martin's going to try it. But now they got to worry about that two-headed running back, that running back by committee that they got out there now with San Diego. So that's going to be a lot harder for the Commanders because they're going to start loading the box, trying to keep that running game from going and force Philip Nelson to beat him with his arm, which they've shown quarterbacks can beat him by their arm by just throwing to the outside. So real quick, my rankings for the Lions of American Football after week 2. Of course, it'll be the Orlando Apollos at 1, Arizona Hotshots, Birmingham Iron, all 3 undefeated teams. Then you got I put the San Antonio Commanders at 4 because they actually put up a fight until the very end against the Orlando Apollos. So I think they are better than everybody else below them. Then I got the San Diego Fleet moving up to the number 5 because they actually got the win. I got the Salt Lake Stallions because I think they're the best team to not have a win so far. They've actually put up a fight in every single game they've been in. They just taken the L so far. I got the Memphis Express sitting at 7 because they actually put up a fight against the Arizona Hotshots, but it's just bad quarterback play that's screwing them over. Then I got the Atlanta Legends sitting at 8 because somebody's got to be the last. But I do think that if they get their problems fixed, I honestly think it's going to take a whole offseason for that team to get something together. They're going to win a game this year. Somebody's going to slip up, but they got little tiny things they got to fix. A couple overall takeaways from week 2 that I kind of took notes on. There was the Sky Refs were better this week. Especially I was watching the Birmingham Iron game that the ref, I think it was I forgot the man's name, was I think it was the Asian American ref. He was clearly explaining like, yo, I don't have certain views of this, so I cannot call it like this, and it's like they were breaking it down every single time. So it seems like a lot of those calls that even if they would have went, I was rooting for a certain team and they didn't go against that team, I could agree with those calls they were making. It just seems like they kind of got that process, going better. The live mic situation, I think it's cool hearing the players on the field, but I did notice it big time. I don't know if it was like this in the other 3 games. I didn't really notice it on Saturday, and on Sunday I was in San Antonio watching the Commanders live. So on the way back, I was listening to the Atlanta Legends playing the San Diego Fleet, and I noticed that they kept muting like every 5 seconds that Matt Sims was on the field because he kept dropping F-bombs on live TV. So I'm wondering if the Alliance American Football got in trouble with CBS or the NFL Network, like, yo, like y'all need to clean up the cursing and everything like that. So you would hear Marvin Lewis like breaking down, or MJD breaking down what was going on, and then all of a sudden the audio would just cut out. You clearly tell that they were saying something, and then that the camera was on Matt Sims or somebody, and they were just dropping, expletives the entire time. There's a simple way to fix this. There's two ways they can fix this. They can either not have the quarterbacks mic'd up, but I mean, that's one of the big things they pushed, or just have the quarterback audio going into a giant mixer to where you can just mute that part. I mean, it's not that hard. We do it all the time. Like YouTubers and podcasters and people on like playing video games, they can mute anybody like with a single button. You don't have to mute the entire broadcast. That just seems like an oversight. Like they weren't prepared for that. So I think that's something that they're going to look into next week or going forward, because it was just real annoying. Just like you're hearing the sounds of the game, you're hearing these guys break down the action, especially when I'm driving, I'm trying to get that clear picture. And then all of a sudden it's just like, well, when he ran yeah, that's annoying. Like, just don't cut out everybody's audio. Another thing was, I noticed that once these guys started dumbing down their playbooks, because, especially like Mike Martz, he's an offensive genius. Once he dumbed down his playbook for Phil Nelson, they started getting some movement. So I think that because my last point was definitely they need a longer offseason. Say like all these same guys come back for the next season, they will actually have time to actually learn these giant schemes and everything, instead of just within one training camp. So I think they have to take like a condensed version of their playbook so far, just to get movement, get these guys comfortable, that you can slowly start introducing more and more and more. I honestly don't think that the plays are too crazy. It's just that if you have quarterbacks who've been playing who've been bouncing around from system to system to system, it might take them a little longer to learn the new stuff. And I don't know, it just seems like sometimes there was one video that I saw posted on Instagram that a lot of guys were sharing, was the San Antonio Commanders. They were on the goal line, and I guess Woodside was calling the play, and then all the players were just arguing with him. It's like, yo, like that, no, don't call that play. And he's like, that's the play they called. I have to run it. And then it ended up being an incomplete pass. And I think they wanted to run the ball because the running was working for them. And it just shows, like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's coaching, but I think it's just they needed more time with the players in the playbook. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you like this video, hit like, share, subscribe, and tune in Wednesday. I'm going to kind of change it up. I'm going to still do like the Alliance American Football rumors and the XFL rumors and stuff like that, but I'm going to have a different format. It's going to be more like the Herd, or kind of like the Stephen A. Smith show, where it's just me spewing streams of consciousness, because it's the way I wanted to do it. And I didn't want such a regimented type YouTube video where it's just regurgitating facts the entire time. So till next time, guys, I'll see you all in week 3.